In the beginning, there was nothing. No earth, no sky, no stars. Only a vast, endless void, Ginnungagap, the yawning gap between worlds. To the north lay Niflheim, the realm of mist, ice, and endless cold. To the south, Muspelheim, a world of fire, blazing heat, and living flame. And when the breath of frost met the tongue of flame in the heart of the void, creation began. From melting ice, droplets formed, and from those droplets rose the first being, Ymir, the primordial giant, whose breath was the storm and whose sweat became the race of frost giants. Beside him came Odumla, the cosmic cow, her milk flowing like rivers to feed Ymir's strength. With her tongue she licked the salty ice for days uncounted, until from the frozen stone emerged a man, Buri, the first god. Buri had a son, Bor, who took for his wife a daughter of giants. Their children were Odin, Vili, and Ve, the first of the Asir, the high gods of the north. Odin and his brothers looked upon Ymir, and they saw that chaos filled every corner of creation. They rose against the giant, and after a battle that shook the void itself, they slew him. From Ymir's flesh they shaped the earth, from his blood the seas, from his bones the mountains, from his teeth and broken bones they made cliffs and boulders, and from his skull they built the dome of the sky, its edges held aloft by 4 dwarves, Nordri, Sudri, Austri, and Vestri, north, south, east, and west. Sparks from Muspelheim were caught beneath the sky, and there they burned as stars, the first light in the newborn world. Around this world the gods raised great seas, and in its center they shaped Midgard, the home of humankind. Beyond it lay Jotunheim, land of giants, and farther still the unseen realms that formed the roots of reality. Beneath everything grew the great ash tree, Yggdrasil, its branches reaching to the heavens, its roots winding deep into the worlds of mist, fire, and death. Every creature, every god, every spirit lived within its shadow. The gods, now weary of shaping, turned to a new creation. Upon the shore they found 2 fallen logs of wood. Odin breathed life into them. Vili gave them mind and motion. Ve gave them voice, sight, and hearing. Thus were born the first humans, Ask and Embla. They awoke beneath the boughs of Yggdrasil, and the gods smiled, for the world had at last found its keepers. Now there were 9 realms, each bound to the others by the roots and branches of the cosmic tree. Asgard, home of the Asir, Vanaheim, realm of the Vanir, gods of fertility and magic, Midgard, the mortal world, Jotunheim, the land of giants, Alfheim, domain of light elves, Svartalfheim, where dwarves forged wonders of metal and stone, Niflheim, of ice and mist, Muspelheim, of fire and fury, and deep below, Helheim, the cold home of the dead. Above it all, the gods built shining Asgard, linking it to the world of men with the burning rainbow bridge, Bifrost. Here reigned Odin, the All-Father, seeker of wisdom, wanderer of the worlds. He plucked out his own eye and cast it into Mimir's well to drink of truth and foresight. He hung for 9 nights upon the world tree, pierced by his own spear, sacrificing himself to himself, until the runes of magic revealed their secrets. With those runes, Odin mastered fate, but fate, as the Norns whisper, never bows to any one hand. By Odin's side stood mighty Thor, his hammer Mjolnir blazing with thunder and lightning. Defender of gods and men, he battled giants and monsters to keep chaos at bay. And there was Loki, the trickster, blood brother to Odin, yet born of giants. Clever, charming, and dangerous. His laughter echoed through Asgard's halls, bringing both fortune and ruin in equal measure. The gods fought, feasted, and ruled from their shining realm. But even in those golden days, the shadow of destiny lengthened. For in the Norse world, every joy is balanced by sorrow, every creation by its end. And so, as Odin's ravens flew over the 9 realms, they whispered of a future no god could escape. A storm at the edge of time, a twilight called Ragnarok. Time passed. Ages turned. The world ripened with glory and faded with sorrow. Even the gods, though immortal, felt the pull of fate. For in the roots of Yggdrasil, the Norns, weavers of destiny, carved into the bark the story of an ending, a twilight that no power could avert. The final battle, Ragnarok. It began with a whisper, a dream that chilled the golden halls of Asgard. Balder, son of Odin, the shining god of light and joy, dreamed of his own death. The gods, stricken with fear, made every creature in the world swear not to harm him, every fire, stone, beast, and blade. But they forgot one thing: the mistletoe. Loki, ever watchful, saw the flaw. He shaped the mistletoe into a dart and placed it in the hands of Hoder, Balder's blind brother. Guiding his aim with mocking laughter, Loki watched as the dart flew and struck Balder in the heart. The hall fell silent. The laughter died. Light itself seemed to fade. Odin's heart broke, for he knew this was the first echo of the world's end. The gods seized Loki in fury. They bound him beneath the earth with unbreakable chains and hung a serpent above his head, its venom dripping onto his skin. Each drop burned like fire. When his wife caught the poison in a bowl, the world lay still. But when she turned to empty it, the venom struck again, and Loki writhed, his screams shaking the ground. Thus were born earthquakes, and the earth learned to tremble with pain. Still, nothing could stop what was coming. Winter followed winter, 3 in a row without spring. The sun dimmed, the stars vanished, and across the 9 realms brothers fought and fathers slew sons. Then came the day. The wolf Fenrir broke his chains. The serpent Jormungandr rose from the sea, spilling venom across the skies. Mountains crumbled, the heavens cracked.
The horn of Heimdall sounded, the Gjallarhorn, its cry ringing through every realm. Odin gathered his warriors, the Einarjar, and rode forth upon Sleipnir, his eight-legged steed. On the plain of Vigrid, lightning clashed with fire, gods with giants, order with chaos. Thor faced the world serpent, his hammer Mjolnir crashing down again and again until the beast was slain. But the venom claimed Thor in turn. Odin met the wolf Fenrir and was swallowed whole. But from the shadows came his son Vidar, who tore the beast apart, avenging his father's death. Freyr, god of harvest and peace, fell to Surtur, the fire giant, whose flaming sword shone brighter than the sun. Heimdall and Loki struck each other down, and the echo of their fall silenced the worlds. Then Surtur raised his burning blade high and swept it across the heavens. Flames devoured the 9 realms. The roots of Yggdrasil burned. The sky became ash. The sea rose and swallowed the fire. Silence. Nothing remained. Yet, from that silence, something stirred. A spark, a breath, a new dawn. The sun's daughter rose where her mother had perished. Green shoots broke through the ash. 2 humans, Leaf and Lithrasir, emerged from the forest of life. They looked upon the empty world and began again. Thus, even in death, life endured. For the Norse gods knew what mortals must always remember, that courage, not immortality, is the truest gift. The flames of Ragnarok faded into memory, and far to the south, beneath brighter skies and calmer seas, another story took shape, a story of marble and light. Where the North saw frost and fate, the Greeks saw harmony and reason, a cosmos born not from battle, but from balance. In the beginning there was chaos, not confusion, but the great emptiness, the womb of potential. From chaos came Gaia, the earth herself, and Uranus, the sky who covered her in stars. Their union gave birth to the mighty Titans, beings of immense power who shaped the mountains, seas, and skies. Yet Uranus feared his children, and he cast them deep into Gaia's hidden places, imprisoning them within the womb of the earth. In her anguish, Gaia forged a plan. She shaped from stone a blade of flint, sharp and silent, and gave it to her youngest Titan, Cronus. When Uranus descended to lie upon her again, Cronus struck. The sky was torn from the earth, and from the father's blood on the soil came strange, powerful beings, the Furies, the giants, and the spirit of love itself, Eros. Cronus took the throne of the world, and under his rule the Golden Age began, an age of peace and plenty. But prophecy whispered to him, one of his own children would rise and overthrow him. To defy fate, Cronus devoured each child as it was born, one by one. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. Until at last his wife Rhea, grieving and desperate, hid her final child. When the time came, she wrapped a stone in swaddling cloth and gave it to Cronus instead.
and he swallowed the stone whole. The hidden child was Zeus, raised in secret on Mount Ida, nourished by divine milk and mountain honey. He grew strong, like a storm gathering over calm seas. When Zeus came of age, he descended to face his father. With a potion of cunning, he forced Cronus to release his swallowed kin. One by one they returned, gods reborn, and together they rose in revolt. The war of heaven against heaven began, the Titanomachy. For 10 years thunder and stone clashed, the mountains shook, the seas boiled, and lightning scorched the sky. A short pause, then triumphant. In the end, Zeus and his siblings prevailed. The Titans were cast into Tartarus, the abyss beneath the world, guarded by monstrous gates of bronze. In the end, Zeus and his siblings prevailed. The Titans were cast into Tartarus, the abyss beneath the world, guarded by monstrous gates of bronze. Upon Mount Olympus, Zeus built his throne, a hall of shining gold above the clouds. There he divided the cosmos. Zeus would rule the heavens, Poseidon the seas, and Hades the underworld. And from that moment, the order of the Greek gods was set, a reflection of the very balance that held the world. But peace among gods is never eternal. Zeus's thunderbolts brought law and justice, yet his heart was restless. His love crossed both heaven and earth, and from his many unions came heroes, demigods, and ruin alike. Hera, his queen and sister, was the guardian of marriage and birth, majestic and fierce. She ruled beside Zeus with dignity, but her jealousy burned like sacred fire. From Zeus's head sprang Athena, fully armed and radiant, goddess of wisdom, war strategy, and reason. She became the patron of Athens, teaching humankind the power of intellect over impulse. From the Isle of Delos came twins, Apollo, lord of light, music, and prophecy, and Artemis, the huntress, protector of the wild and the moonlit night. Together they embodied harmony, day and night, reason and instinct, civilization and wilderness. Ares, god of war, thrived on the chaos of battle. Where he walked, blood followed. Yet his brother, Hephaestus, the crippled smith, forged beauty from flame, weapons, armor, and the wonders of Olympus itself. From sea foam born Aphrodite brought love, desire, and the turmoil of passion. Hermes, fleet and clever, moved between worlds, messenger, trickster, and guide of souls. And finally, Dionysus, god of wine and ecstasy, taught mortals the gift and danger of freedom. Together they formed the 12 Olympians, each a reflection of the human spirit, each carrying a fragment of mortal desire, virtue, and vice. They feasted on ambrosia, drank nectar, and laughed in golden halls that touched the clouds. From Olympus they watched the world, a stage of heroes and monsters, of love and betrayal. Yet even in their splendor, The Greeks saw truth. The gods were not perfect. They quarreled, envied, deceived, and loved, just as humankind does. For the Greeks understood something profound, that the divine and the mortal are mirrors of one another, that every flaw, every act of beauty, every triumph and tragedy is part of the same eternal pattern. And as long as mortals told their stories, the gods of Olympus would live, in thunder, in song, and in the beating heart of every storyteller. Beyond the shining palaces of Olympus, beyond the prayers and offerings of mortals, the earth itself held secrets. Creatures older than the gods, born from chaos, shaped by fear. They were the monsters, echoes of the wild, symbols of the unknown world. From the dark caverns of Tartarus came Typhon, a storm giant taller than mountains, his eyes blazing fire, his hands wreathed in thunder. He roared so loudly that the heavens trembled. Zeus met him in battle, lightning against hurricane, and after days of storm and flame, cast him beneath Mount Etna, where his rage still rumbles as the mountains fire. Beside him slithered Echidna, the mother of monsters, half woman, half serpent, who gave birth to the terrors that haunt every tale. The Hydra, serpent of Lerna, with its heads that grew back twofold when severed. The Chimera, part lion, goat, and dragon, breathing fire upon the land. The Gorgons, with hair of living snakes and eyes that turned flesh to stone. Each monster was not merely an enemy to slay, but a reflection of the human spirit, its fears, its temptations, its endless struggle against chaos. And so came the heroes, mortals touched by divinity, born to face what gods could not. Perseus, who faced Medusa and turned her power against tyranny. Heracles, whose strength was both his curse and his salvation, battling beasts and atoning for his sins. Theseus, who entered the labyrinth to slay the Minotaur and free his people from the shadow of sacrifice. Each hero carried a lesson, that courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. They fought monsters, yes, but often the greatest monsters were within. Pride, wrath, desire, betrayal. Through them, the Greeks understood the truth of being human.
The gods watched, amused and awed, as mortals carved their own legends. And in their struggles, the boundary between divine and human blurred. For when Odysseus defied Poseidon's storms, when Prometheus gave fire to humankind, when Orpheus sang his way into the underworld, they all touched the realm of gods. The monsters fell, the heroes rose, and the stories wove themselves into time. Myth became memory, memory became meaning. Even now, when we look to the stars, we find them still etched among the constellations. Perseus, Orion, Andromeda, Heracles, immortal not in body, but in story. For both Norse and Greek myth share one truth, that the cosmos is fragile, that power demands wisdom, and that every ending is only a new beginning. From the frost and fire of the north to the marble peaks of Olympus, humankind has sought to understand the same eternal questions. Where do we come from? Why do we suffer? What makes us divine? And the answers live not in thunder or prophecy, but in the stories we tell, stories of gods and monsters, of courage and fall, of the endless dance between chaos and creation. Because myths are not only about the past, they are mirrors, and when we gaze into them, we see ourselves, fragile, fierce, and forever reaching for the light.